Okay, so now that we've looked at the evidence, we've gone in specific and looked for specific details or images or words or structures that appeal to us, that we notice, that we feel have an importance, and we've broken them down and each given them their own kind of independent space or list. And we've stayed concrete with it, right? Specific things we can see or touch or taste. Like we could all see the young girl, we all saw the border, we all saw the pillow. Very concrete things are listed in evidence. Now we're going to move to associations. And if you remember before, if evidence one is concrete, anything that catches your attention, level two is anything that comes to mind. How does it make you feel? What connections can you make? Can you annotate abstract concepts, like things you can think or feel that are not physical? And you're going to write down everything. And you're going to make lots of associations for each piece of evidence, right? So we're going to look at these associations. What are abstract terms? Things we can't see or feel, but we or see or touch, but we feel, right? So when I'm looking at the young girl, what do I feel? Well, as I notice that she's asleep and I notice that her hair is smoothed back and these things, it makes me feel peaceful, right? It makes me feel relaxed. It makes me feel kind of that she's sleeping and her eyes aren't squinched and her mouth isn't pursed and her demeanor is kind of at rest. I'm gonna say safe, right? Kind of made me feel safe. And if I get more information, I can always go back to these, but I'm going to want to put down as much as I think right away. Peaceful, relaxed, and safe. So maybe I'm going to move on to the teddy bear. So when I look at this teddy bear, and if I go back and look at these specific things that I had with it, like the hard button eyes here, and I had the embroidered nose and the silk ribbon on the bear's neck, maybe I'm going to notice these things about it as a unit. Maybe I'm going to say that the bear, to me, if I combine it with the hard button eyes and the nose and the silk ribbon, it looks expensive, right? It's not one of those dollar grab bag toys that you get. That looks like an expensive bear, right? It looks loved on, doesn't it? It's kind of matted and kind of obviously looks like it's been petted a little bit. It looks a teddy bear gives me the feeling of playfulness. It also gives me the feeling, if I think, and now I'm starting to kind of make connections, of a little girl with a teddy bear. She's obviously didn't buy it for herself. She doesn't have any money, but she's loved, right? She's given things. Maybe there's a sense of spoiled if you have an expensive teddy bear, not just any teddy bear, but a nice teddy bear. Maybe there's a sense of spoiled to that if you want to go there, okay? Maybe now I'm going to look at the blanket. So I'm going to look at the blanket in itself, and I put other things in the blanket. Like I noticed that that it was tucked in to her before. Where I put that? Yeah, that she's tucked in, blanket pulled up to her neck, tucked in. And so I'm going to notice all those. So what feeling do I get when I look at a nice white blanket? There's expense to this blanket, right? It has a nice border. It obviously has texture to it. So that blanket gives me the idea of expense. Let's say expensive. Yeah. It gives me the idea of secure, right? She's pretty tucked in secure, right? With that. What about the fact that it's tucked in all the way to her neck? It's not over her neck. If it was over her head completely, it might give me the feeling of being scared. Like when I'm scared, I might pull the blanket over my head, but she's obviously not scared. It's tucked into her neck, right? So that gives me that feeling of security. It also gives me that feeling of protection, right? Usually when I sleep, I don't, pull the blanket all the way to my neck myself and, here we go. It gives me that feeling of being tucked in. And if I say tucked in, I might mean loved, right? Because who tucks you in? Your mom or your dad or your grandmother? Someone's come in to make sure that you're safe, right? So that blanket gives off that feeling of safety to me because it feels like someone else is there making sure she's protected, making sure that blanket stays up, making sure that you stay warm and safe. Oh, warm. That's a good one, right? Under that blanket. If I look now at another thing that I noticed, I might notice the security blanket, the words security blanket. So if I think about the word security and I think about the word blanket, and together a security blanket makes me feel safe. It makes me feel protected. A security blanket might make me feel um, like it's my companion, right? So I take it with me everywhere I go. The word security blanket. What else do they bring to mind for me? Maybe I even want to notice that there's a period right after that, and a period might make me think of an ending, right? Or there's some finality to that. Maybe I even want to add that there's a period over here so I can remember that I'm relating it to this specific thing. There's a sense of closure to that. There's a sense of security blanket being peaceful, right? It gives you comfort for sure. Okay, maybe I want to move on to this label of the American Bar Association. So if you don't know what something is, always Google it. I happen to know the American Bar Association, but if I didn't, I'd go to Google, right? And I would look up American Bar Association. What is that? Why is that important to this ad? Who are they? Well, if I look at their site, then the American Bar Association tells me that it's for everyone and it offers resources to lawyers, judges, and law students and those who are interested in law-related issues. So it's primarily, I know now, for lawyers and law students and those interested in law. I might make that detail known so I remember it. And then the fact that it's a law association, that makes me think scholarly, right? It makes me think resourceful because it's all those resources for lawyers. And lawyers make me think of my rights, make me think of my privileges, make me think of I wouldn't put law here because law is a concrete term, right? But the law makes me think of the truth, makes me think of justice. The law and lawyers make me think of protection, right? If I need a lawyer to protect me from getting out of jail or going to jail, there's protection to that, right? And yeah, so I might have noticed their symbol before. What does their symbol make me think of? As it's combined together, well, makes me think of combination or grouping or togetherness. Okay, all right. So I noticed white border, but then I also remember that I noticed white in a variety of places. I'm going to talk about maybe moving this white border and white all over. And then I might even list them out all together. Since I'm going to be talking about the concept of white, maybe I go back and put white border and white all over. So it wasn't just the border, it was the white border, white words, white pillow, white teddy bear, white blanket, even maybe white girl. I think she's a girl, right? A white girl. And I know that the recording is about to stop. So I'm going to stop here too, and we'll come back and look at this again in just a second.